Jesus never once said, "I am God." Not in those exact words, not directly. And for 2,000 years, that silence has created one of the deepest divides in human history. Muslims say he was a prophet. Jews say he was a teacher. Christians say he was God in flesh. And the entire foundation of Christianity stands or falls on which answer is true. This isn't just theology. It's the question that determines whether you're worshipping a man or meeting the Creator himself. But here's what makes this so complex. Jesus never said, "Don't worship me." When people bowed before him, he didn't stop them. When Thomas called him "my Lord and my God," he accepted it. When the Pharisees accused him of blasphemy for claiming equality with God, he didn't deny it. He let them crucify him for it. So if he wasn't God, he had every opportunity to clarify, every moment to correct the misunderstanding that would eventually cost him his life. He stayed silent. The Old Testament says, "Before me no God was formed, nor will there be one after me." God alone. Yet the New Testament opens with, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." And then it says, "The Word became flesh, became human, walked among us." Jesus said, "Before Abraham was, I am." The exact name God gave Moses at the burning bush. The religious leaders picked up stones immediately. They knew exactly what he was claiming. He said, "I and the Father are one." Again, stones. He forgave sins. Only God can forgive sins. He accepted worship. Only God deserves worship. He claimed authority over the Sabbath, over death, over judgment itself. But he also prayed. He said the Father was greater than him. He claimed not to know the day or hour of his return. If he's God, why pray to God? Why claim limitations? So what if Jesus was just a man, a prophet, a wisdom teacher, a revolutionary? One view says he never claimed divinity. His followers invented that later. The Council of Nicaea in 325 AD made him God by vote. Before that, early Christians saw him as adopted by God, not born as God. But the writings that predate Nicaea by centuries already call him God. Paul's letters, written within 20 years of the crucifixion, already describing Jesus as equal with God, existing in the form of God. John's Gospel calls him the Word who was God from the beginning. So either the divine claim was there from the start, or the entire New Testament is a coordinated fabrication within one generation of eyewitnesses who could have corrected it. The counterfactual collapses under the weight of the earliest documents. This is where the paradox becomes unbearable. Jesus is called fully God and fully man, not half of each, both, completely. How does the infinite become finite? How does the eternal enter time? How does the Creator become creation without ceasing to be Creator? The Trinity doctrine says one God in three persons, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Not three gods, one. But critics say that's mathematical nonsense. One does not equal three. You can't have it both ways. Others say it's borrowed from pagan mythology. Divine beings taking human form, virgin births, resurrections. Egypt had Horus, Greece had Dionysus, Why is Jesus different? Christians respond, because he's historical, documented, witnessed, died under Pontius Pilate, a recorded Roman governor. His tomb was found empty by multiple accounts, including hostile witnesses. But the question remains, does the evidence prove divinity or just influence? Here's what's haunting about this question. Jesus' own words create the dilemma. C.S. Lewis called it the trilemma. Jesus claimed things only God can claim. So either he was telling the truth, and he's Lord, or he was lying, and he's a deceiver. Great moral teacher isn't an option, because great moral teachers don't claim to be God unless they are. But there's a fourth option Lewis didn't explore: legend. The claims were added later. The real Jesus never said these things, except the earliest texts we have already contain them. Within a generation, too fast for legend to overtake eyewitness memory. If Jesus isn't God, then billions have worshipped a man for 2 millennia. If he is, then rejecting him means rejecting the one who spoke you into existence. So we return to the question, is Jesus God? The text says yes. The miracles suggest yes. The resurrection, if it happened, demands yes. But the mystery remains. How can the uncreated become created? How can God die? Christianity says the answer is the cross. That God didn't just observe suffering, he entered it, took it into himself, bore the weight of separation from himself so we wouldn't have to. It's either the greatest truth ever told or the greatest story ever believed. Maybe the question isn't whether you can prove Jesus is God. Maybe it's whether the evidence is compelling enough to stake your life on. Because that's what he asked. Not for intellectual agreement, for everything. If this question matters to you, if you're wrestling with it, not running from it, subscribe. Because we're exploring the claims, the contradictions, and the choices you can't avoid forever.